There's one other thing I wanted to talk about this morning before I pack all my gear up and we go out walking and then we fly home. And the next video after this one, unless I do something this morning while we're out and I upload it from the strip from my phone, this will be the last Vegas video in all likelihood. There was an article about Carey Price, and this is just where things get silly. And it was all about how Carey Price claims that Montreal's going to be a very good team this year, even without Shea Weber. And in the article, he says that he thinks they're going to be in good shape, and then when Shea Weber comes back, that'll put them over the top. Here's the thing. Name me an NHL player right now who is saying publicly, oh, our team's not making the playoffs in 2019. Oh, yeah, no, our team's going to be crap. Because the funny thing is, if a player comes out, let's just do it the other way. Carey Price comes out and says, well, we're not going to be very good. Fans will yell, you're getting paid $10.5 million, you better be good. Bergevin will be calling them into a meeting going, so, we don't think we're any good, right? Okay, why are you saying this publicly? Players are not going to publicly admit that they think a team's going to be bad. And I could probably look through old yearbooks I got at home and pull quotes from as early as the 80s with players being optimistic. I've got old quotes from Canucks in the 80s, like, oh, this year we're going to turn it around. It is a standard thing for players to say. Carey Price is in an uncomfortable position right now. So he's coming off of his worst NHL season. He had a 3.11 goals against, a 900 save percentage. Those are both poor numbers. That was with 48 starts, 49 games played overall. So he played a lot, but he didn't play his normal amount of games. And he's had injury problems, and Montreal fans will tell you this anytime you point at his stats, they'll say he was injured, and that's fine. I think really, instead of asking Carey Price that, I think really the media should find a different tact altogether. My concern on the Montreal front is, what if Carey Price at this point is just an average goaltender? What if after all these injuries he's had over the last 4 years, could go back further than that probably, but anyways, I'm just going to say 4. What if he's just an average goaltender? Like good, but not fantastic. What if he's as good as, say, Dubnyk in Minnesota? Very good starter, 50-55 games, very good starter, maybe not an elite starter. What if Price is in that range? Well, Montreal's issues are going to be their goal scoring, and you look at that blue line, there's some issues with puck movers and point producers on that blue line. And it's just funny to me that people are asking Carey, what do you think? Because of course he's going to say they're going to be good. Every team does. I'm seeing it from Vancouver. Travis Green gets asked about the Canucks, and everybody's just trashing him over signing Jay Beagle and Antoine Roussel. And Green brings up a point. He says, our penalty kill was garbage last year, and he's right. And veteran guys are usually better for your penalty kill. And again, he's right. And by bringing him in, it takes some of the pressure off some of the younger kids that were playing on that penalty kill last year. And it has nothing to do with the retirement of the Sedins, because they didn't kill penalties. So bringing in guys who will help the penalty kill will add up to more points. The Canucks penalty kill was bad last year. And I'm sure their power play this year is going to struggle, because it's a whole new ball game for their power play this year. But it is a funny aspect of things that we want to trash teams. Like I was looking back at some articles written on July 2nd about winners and losers in free agency, and some of them are valid, and some of them are and I'm talking about looking back to 2014, 15, 16, and I'll definitely do a video on that as well. And I'll go back as far as I can find articles that are still online. Very often, of course, they won't keep everything online from 10, 15, 20 years ago. I'm finding with newspapers and sports sites, after about 5 years, it can get sketchy as to whether or not they keep an article online. But it is one of those interesting things that we constantly reevaluate everything. And then the players are the ones stuck answering the question that you can't answer honestly. You can't. You just can't. Even Arizona. even Arizona, and for players in Arizona, if you sit down with Auntie Ranta or you sit down with Clayton Keller, any member of that team, and ask them, so how do you feel about next year? They're going to answer, we should be in the hunt for the playoffs. We're going to be much better next year. It's just the standard answer. And yet the media will ask it. And you'll see that headline about how they're optimistic. And the headline usually is posted in such a way to make it sound like, can you believe he said this? Anyways, it's one of those curious things that I noticed this morning, and I've seen it many, many times. And it is an interesting one, and we could always just sit down and do a video where we discuss optimism by players and how many times they may lie. And it's a question I'd love to ask players. How often do you get a question from the press and just give them whatever answer they want and make them go away? It's an interesting debate. I'd be interested to know what you guys think about it. I know hockey players have a reputation for just giving the very plain white bread answers. But again, I think that's just the culture. I think that's just how it is. We don't want to offend anybody. We don't want to get out of line. We just, we give the pat answer. Is it boring on some level? Sure, but hockey players are generally pretty decent guys, and they just don't want to rock the boat. But let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Do you think Carey Price actually sees Montreal as a playoff contender? And do you think you have to see it that way going into training camp? I would argue that as well. That as a player, you have to see hope every single training camp. You have to look around the locker room and say, yes, I can get to the playoffs with this group of guys. Because if you look around the locker room and you go, man, we're screwed, then you are. That's it. You're just done. And there were plenty of teams who made the playoffs this season that missed the season before. So some of these guys are going to be right. That right now we're shaking our heads at and saying, there's no chance. But let me know your thoughts. I'm always interested to know what you think. And hey, don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through. Maybe the last video I do from here. Well, very likely is, since I'm going to pack up the computer and all after this is uploaded. But thank you guys for all your support. This has been tremendous fun. I'll talk to you again soon.